I'm Chase.
And I'm Timothy.
And this is Customer Service. All right, and good morning from Hanoi, Vietnam. That's a town? Can you look that up, Cole?
That's a town in Vietnam.
No, I was thinking.
Why did you take such a big swing if you didn't know?
It's just what came to my mind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've never been. So.
Where are you at on birds?
Oh, I think they're great.
Yeah, I just noticed there's some. I am having to remember though, like that I had that we're like on camera properly. So again, this is round 2 of us being doing video for the first time. So hello.
Real quick, Hanoi is a city you've confirmed.
This is ADHD radio right now.
It's also where the international airport is.
Okay, because you'd fly in there if you were to visit.
Yeah.
We could assume.
You're making a lot of assumptions this morning.
But anyway, Timothy, to answer your question more seriously, birds, yes. And in fact, there's been a handful in our yard lately, but just last week or the week prior, I saw a bald eagle on foothills on my commute in.
You see them around here.
You do.
Yeah, this is God's country.
No, hey, baby. When we were in Japan, get me back to God's country, man. And really by that, I just mean Longmont, Colorado.
I also was in Longmont yesterday. I told Abby, I was like, get me back to God's country.
You were in Longmont?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
It's like it's like a long story that like nobody's going to care about. I'll tell you like later.
Okay.
And that's literally because there's no point in me. I'm going to have to explain
There's nothing funny
enough
or good about
and
it.
It's not funny. So it doesn't matter. It's not like entertaining at all. Okay.
Yeah,
skipping around entirely, I was asking you about birds because I've gotten like more interested in like bird watching. Not like with binoculars,
but just hanging out, looking at them.
Well, I'm baiting them near my
you have
my
a bunch
house
of feed
so that the cats can watch them.
Yeah,
so it entertains all of us.
Yeah, no, I remember you talking about this because you got bird specific feeders so that the squirrels wouldn't.
Yeah,
also...
I got squirrel food too to also feed them, but the squirrels are now like they're too chill. So like if I have like this little like Japanese style like low table where I'll like eat or do like painting or whatever I'm doing outside, sitting in the sun doing my things. And now the squirrels just come up there and they'll come right up to me. I think I could get them to eat out of my hand just fine. But it's like a little like, you're not sure what one of those things is going to do.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah.
They're still in feral mode right
now. Yeah, you can't trust them.
Yeah. They're not big yet. Once they get big, you're good. They're not moving fast at that point.
Yeah.
But that's not until like September.
No, they just coming out of a fast. You know what I mean?
So
of a hibernation.
They look great.
Yeah, they're looking great. It's like they've been juicing for a couple months.
Yeah.
No, that's sick. On multiple things. One, the squirrels in my yard are going crazy, and Michelle just showed me a photo the other day. Her desk is right underneath a window that looks out to the front yard, and she said a squirrel jumped off the tree and landed on a little ledge and kept running back and forth on the ledge, looking her right in the eyes, stopping right at the window and like standing up and looking right at her.
Check out this look. I took this picture of the one that hangs out a lot. It looks like it could be his LinkedIn profile picture. Doesn't that look good?
That's honestly the photo. If you
that's
Google,
nice, right?
If you Google North American ground squirrel, that's what you see on Wikipedia.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I think he's posed, his own arms up.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool.
He looks good.
That's cute. So you have feed for the squirrels, feed for the birds. Because I remember as a kid, my grandma and I would put out bird feeders, and I'd be like, "Grandma, the squirrels are in it again!" And there'd be 2 of them hanging upside down and swinging all fucking crazy.
That happens in my parents' yard a lot. They tell me they're like swinging it, they're moving it, rocking it around.
Yeah.
We just took the like tray thing and just took it off the porch and just like put it in the yard, and now they kind of do their thing out there.
Yeah,
and then they leave
the birds
alone.
Are there any birds in particular you're keen to attract?
No,
I'm just wondering because
there's two that live underneath like my carport.
Yeah,
and they have a nest there.
Yeah,
and that's the one that went into my car the one time. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I just had to like wait 10 minutes until it came back out.
Yeah.
So they come because I can tell them because I know where they live.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I don't know any bird at all. Like I don't know any. I know that like a hawk and an eagle and like a raven because they're very distinct looking things. But anything else looks the same.
You could pick out a cardinal.
Okay, there's a red one and a blue one.
Yeah, red cardinal, blue jay, Orioles.
No idea. I mean, I know what the mascot looks like.
yeah.
What other mascots are there? Falcon? But I don't know the difference between a falcon and a hawk or anything like that.
I wouldn't either. I
know
wouldn't
like
either.
what are the ones that everyone's got tattooed on their arms?
Owls.
Guys like you, not an owl. That's like Zoe Deschanel era.
It's like this thigh has an owl, that thigh has a cupcake. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not even being mean. I'm just speaking the facts here. It's just the truth.
You're part of this community, whether you like it or not.
I got a bunch of shit on me too, so I'm allowed to say.
Yeah.
But no, so there's. Do
you have a heart that's like crying?
No, I don't have the crying heart. That's literally what it's called, is a crying heart.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
I can't think of who does that flash, but no, I don't have that. No.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly
right?
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like the dashboard confessional guy, he's got a lot of birds on him, I feel like.
Oh. Are you saying a swallow?
There it is. Yeah.
Are you thinking City and Color? Are you thinking Dallas
Sure.
Green?
Yeah, now we're in the right realm.
Yeah.
Guys who like live in Portland but are super interested in ships for some reason.
Yeah. The swallow on the hands.
Every time I see
inwards
that, when it's like guys with beards that got too into like ship stuff, you're like you were just into Pirates of the Caribbean. Like you don't have any other background with this, you know?
Yeah, that's tight. Yeah, he just came off his pirate phase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Well, so you've been looking at birds?
Yeah,
okay.
They're there. I see them in the mornings,
and
I look at them with the cats.
Yeah.
But the cats have spots where they sit and watch them, and I like to entertain them because I don't want them to. I like to do a lot of enriching.
Yeah.
You carry them around the house at different heights so they can see different stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hold Henry up to the windows. He'll come out on the porch with us sometimes, but he's so afraid of the outdoors that he likes to hang out and he'll walk between our legs so we pet him, Mm-hmm. But if a loud car drives by or something in the front yard, he scampers inside really quick.
Yeah, I think that if the ones that we have, because they're like former barn cats, I think if they get the flavor of outdoor, because right now there's a limit. They go up to the door, and even if I open the door and come in, they don't cross that threshold. But every once in a blue moon, like one of them will put their foot out, and I'm like, "What are you doing?
What are you doing,
know what I mean?"
Dude?
So it's I feel like if they got more of a taste, it'd be like a problem.
I'll tell you right now, Frank, if got a taste of the outdoors, it might come back at night, but that cat is
she'd like it, but she's
feral.
also like lazy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I think she'd like to be outside in the sun, but that's why I think she would like the porch. Yeah. I would love for her to explore just the porch.
Yeah, but
she's too valuable to lose, though.
Yeah, we love her. Yeah,
it's like having like a special Pokemon. I can't just, you know what I mean. Can't let that one get away or give it a taste of something different.
No, I do know. I do know what you
mean. Anyway, we haven't talked in quite a while.
2 weekends have gone by. Cole was out of town. He was in Ireland, soaking up the sun.
Cool.
He came back darker.
Jump on Mike for 1 second, because I don't know how you come back. You're not on camera, but I don't know how you come back from Ireland and you have like a tan.
I don't understand it either. Well, it was sunny the whole time.
It was sunny the whole time, but
right.
you've also got as you would famously say, you have a splash of Puerto Rican in you.
Yeah.
So you do have a little bit more tinge than, say, Timothy and I.
Yeah, I usually get pretty dark in the summer.
Your skin's more receptive to it than mine. You know what I mean? Yeah. I burn where you tan. Because you also... Where were you previously? You took another trip recently.
I was in with you, powder. I don't want to be. You're your own thing.
Powder, translucent spider. No, Timothy's Italian, so he has that nice olive skin tone. Yeah. I am what I believe to be mostly Finnish, so I am as fair skinned as they come. Yeah. But you just got back from Ireland. But Cole, where were you prior?
Costa Rica.
Yeah, he went to Costa Rica, came back.
You went to Costa Rica first, then went to Ireland?
Yeah, so he got that.
That's a wild trip.
No, remember he was just in Costa Rica like a month ago.
Yeah, I was in March.
So you got some good sun down there. And you laid a base layer.
And usually I have to usually I'll burn a little bit first, and then I'm good for the rest of the season, which is a blessing.
For sure.
You wearing sunscreen or no? No sunscreen.
I used to be super anti sunscreen, and then I got into it, but I don't do prescription 80 SPF. I use 50 at the highest, but usually 30.
Yeah, I use a real low.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, maybe you guys are well versed in this. I know Cole is a product guy, as are you. Are there negatives? Because I've always been like, why not wear 100 SPF?
A product guy, just because we wear a light sunscreen in the sun.
No, first off, if there's a gadget, he's got it. And if he doesn't, you do. And you like skincare products.
Yeah. So listen, I just told you the other day, I'm rocking with 4 total things.
Sure. But you're well versed than I am.
Yeah. Because you're choosing not to be. Because you got to make your little stance. A white dude on a scooter and a do-rag just went by. So that was sometimes that's just too much.
Dude,
with the window here.
God forbid a white boy catch a little motion. You know what I mean?
He had that shit flowing in the back in the wind on his Lime scooter.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
You ever ridden a Lime scooter?
I've never ridden. No, I take that back. When Michelle and I lived in Denver, Cooper also lived nearby, and what he would do is like on a day where we're gonna cook dinner or something, he would scooter back and forth because he could get to our house just as quickly scootering as it would be driving, minus 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And so he brought it over one time, and one time I did go whip around the block a couple times. If I lived somewhere that it made sense, I'm not above that.
I've told Abby a couple times, they'll be like parked, like someone leaves them outside, like near our house, and I'm like, maybe I'll go rip one of those for
Timbo,
fun.
I'm not gonna lie,
but I gotta do it at night when no one would see me.
They're pretty tight. Yeah.
I cannot be seen. It's like not worth it to me to be seen. Or like, what? God forbid I put one down.
Yeah, you put
and
that.
I hurt myself, and I have to tell people. I would have to make up the most elaborate lie.
Yeah.
And I don't do anything. So what would I tell you, that I like fell walking?
Yeah.
I would rather than tell you I was on a Lime scooter alone at night.
Well, it was really fun when I rode it. I think little things like that are fun. And in fact, when I was really young, me and Bussy, both of our families, got us from the local sporting goods store for I think $159.99 or $200 on the dot. Electric blue Schwinn scooters. Now you could put a seat on it and sit on it, or you could stand on it. And then eventually everybody in the neighborhood got it. It was like a thing. Like all the kids that lived in the harbor got these scooters, and we whip around, and basically they were trash. They were, instantly the battery was dead, and I couldn't get to and from Bussy's house more. Like it was the battery. It wasn't a lot of fun, but I did enjoy that thing. So I would like to whip around on a Lime scooter. I'm not above it. I think it looks fun, but I also do associate it with frat guys.
With frat guys?
I'm also like one click off of a frat guy too, in many ways.
Yeah. You would have thrived in a frat house. Honestly.
Crazy energy. I would have had a bunch of dudes to encourage to misbehave.
I think I would have been good at leading a frat house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, especially like the being mean part.
Be the president of the haze.
The like psychological damage part, I think I could have been okay at.
He'd be so good at hazing.
Yeah, haze master or
but
something.
You wouldn't even touch him. It'd just be mean, nasty comments.
Yeah, it would be like the Saw. We've talked about him too much, but it would be like the Saw guy. Still like it's such a funny bit in my head.
Would you set me back up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the guy on that like deeps thing. Having to say, would you come set it back up? Can you come set it back? Cuts. But he doesn't know whether he should break character or not. You know what I mean? So he's saying like, would you set me back up? But he keeps fucking it up. Can you come set me back up real quick?
Just put the bike back up right.
Yeah.
Oh fuck no.
Another TM. Don't write that. SNL cast. I know you watch. Dude. Don't write it,
dude. Yeah, because I got bits for days. Just topical. Email us.
It's super topical considering those movies. Are so popular.
Fuck, dude. Fuck.
Remember when Chris Rock was in a Saw movie? Did you guys see that one?
I did see that one.
I didn't see it either.
You know what? No, I don't think I saw it, but it's in the last 5 years. I remember seeing the trailer and being like, what are they doing?
Is he Saw?
Yeah. I thought it was the guy. Son of a gun. So, no, I haven't ridden those scooters. You know what? I want to talk about something, though. This is very topical. Speaking of the scooters and speaking of falling. Mm-hmm. In between halftime last night, when I was watching the Golden State game. During halftime, I was like, fuck it. So I start surfing through all the streaming platforms. You know what I mean? So I go over to HBO, and I'm like, I'll just put on an episode of Eastbound and Down or something for half an hour and then come back to the game. You know what I mean? HBO has this Redbox hosted soapbox derby. Right? So
these are the things you find on streaming services. Yeah. I don't understand.
They got me figured out. You know what I mean? Because it's similar to
we share, let me tell you this really quick. We don't share. So, like basically throughout the years, you've been on a number of my I don't know who's on any of my I don't know any of the names except for like my own.
You guys also have the Peacock account where
they got hacked.
Somebody logged in, and then I think Abby's sister logged in at some house, and then they sold that TV that was still logged in. So then whoever has that TV is logged in.
They logged in.
They named it Trell and Mandy.
Trell and Mandy. There's also Coochie Man on there, which I think is just her sister, but I'm not sure.
I think it's her sister.
I don't know.
I watch on Trell and Mandy for the record. I watch The Office on Trell and Mandy.
So anyway, I'm on his YouTube TV, and I go because I wanted to watch the Met Gala. I wanted to try to catch the end of it when I got home. And I go, it's like the last two things watched. One was just like hours of ridiculousness. Hours logged of ridiculousness.
We do that.
And the only other thing on there was Chris Angel Mind Freak.
No, David Blaine. David Blaine. Yeah. When he takes a bunch of balloons up into the air and rides them.
It's 3 hours long. And
I skipped to the last hour, but I did watch the last hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So what you find on these platforms is it's like you're only on the ones that they show in like a cheap hotel room.
You got it, dude. It's literally like what I'm watching is like what you watch when you're in college and you go home and stay with your family for a weekend, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's just like they just got TV. You're not logged into your shit. You don't got your laptop or nothing, you know? So you're just, what's on TV? It's ridiculousness. It's Rob Dyrdek, Stilo Brim, and Chanel West Coast, and they're just doing the funny videos.
And let's not forget, the call for Chanel West Coast to come on the pod is still out there.
Yeah, we'd love to have her on.
I'll fly out. I want you in person.
Yeah,
Chanel.
I would love to have Chanel on because this is the thing is everybody can agree here. If you're our age, you can tell me if you missed this, but I don't think you did. You at least watched Rob and Big, and if not, you watched Rob's Fantasy Factory. Like
watched both of them.
You know what I mean? Like those were just on TV. So like I feel I have an affinity with ridiculousness, and so what we do is it's just YouTube TV makes it easy. It records all the episodes. So what I do is I go in, I skip until I know his mannerisms to when he's about to point to the screen for that's a new bit. So I skip, watch the bit. Instantly, the second that bit's done, I skip, watch the next bit, and
you're not even watching them like monologue in between.
No, I'm not watching the monologues in between.
That's when Chanel West Coast says all their funny things.
And don't get me wrong, I'll watch them, but I'm primarily scrubbing through just watching funniest videos, like it's an a la carte America's Funniest Home Videos with.
So you're literally watching it like when you go on YouTube and you look up like funny cat videos, and it's like 3 hours of just there's nothing in between, so it's so weird.
It's just funny videos back to back.
But there's no crowd laughter like on America's Funniest Videos or anything.
I think there's crowd laughter. There's background music, but that's generally what ridiculousness is there for. Yeah. And then the David Blaine thing, he was on a podcast that Michelle and I listened to, Armchair Expert, and he was on there, and I really like magic. I think it's cool. I think card tricks are cool.
I like magic.
I am fascinated by the deceit in cards and shit like that. In fact, there's a documentary, and I mean so seriously, this is not me doing a bit. It's called Dealt. It's Richard Turner. This is a guy who he had this macular degenerative disease where he slowly started to lose his vision as a child. He basically can, like, with a table of 5 people playing poker, he's full blind. He can deal you the ace of hearts, me the 7 of spades. He can like manipulate the mechanics of the game of cards. It's really interesting. So then long story short, I get into that, and I'm interested in this blind guy and how he can manipulate card games, and he can cheat, but he can do card tricks, and he's blind, this, that, and the other. Then I bought this book by E.W. Erdnase or something, and it's an OG book that would have been passed around the underground of like card games and poker games and bookies and this, that, and the other. And it talks about how to cheat in cards and how people would build, hidden slots so they could take cards from the table or introduce new cards to the table. And it's this whole thing. So anyway, full seriousness, that's why I was into David Blaine, because I fuck with card tricks. I had a week in college where
David Blaine in that 3-hour thing couldn't have been doing card tricks.
He wasn't doing card tricks. It's just the only thing I could find that was David Blaine that was available to watch. Mm-hmm. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just watch him float around with these balloons.
Where does he get these dumb ideas for this stuff?
This one I'm assuming came from like Mary Poppins or something. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Did you ever see Mary Poppins?
Well, that's an umbrella, but maybe it's not.
Have you seen Mary Poppins?
Oh, I'm sure I have.
Yeah, just wondering. It just doesn't seem like it would have crossed your desk. I don't know why.
I don't think I liked it, but I'm sure I've seen it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or at least bits and pieces of it, like the Titanic.
That's It's like you knew what happened, so you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, he freezes.
Don't spoil it.
Wait. Yeah. No, I haven't seen the Titanic all the way through. Maybe I'll watch that. But
If you knew 100% you would be safe, would you go and see the Titanic in a submarine? Like, you know it's fine.
We've talked about this.
You're
You
not gonna
don't
blow
like
up like
that.
those guys.
That interests me. I'm very fascinated with underwater, going into the ocean, et cetera, et cetera.
Jeez, I wouldn't even
does
get in
fascinate
that.
me.
I wouldn't even get in the thing if they're just going to bob around like, in like,
Above ground?
I don't want any part of going underwater like that.
I mean, let me be
especially in
clear.
the ocean, even just in the ocean in general, I'm not thrilled. You know what I mean? Like,
No, here's the thing. I'm not going, I've been on a couple boats in Lake Erie. A pontoon in a pond is great. Or a large man-made lake, a la whatever that lake is up there that you guys went and stayed near. I like that. If you can't see the other side, I'm not really interested. Like, I would never go on a cruise ship. I'm never going to be like a fisherman in fucking Lake Erie or off the coast of Washington or something like. But for the purpose of seeing the Titanic, I would go on a boat deep out in the ocean and go down in a submarine. Yeah.
I can't think of something I would like. That's my like truest nightmare.
Yeah, no, you've said that before.
Like, if I watch videos of them doing that
it freaks
shit,
you out.
I can't look at it. It really does something icky to me.
Do you have a visceral reaction in your gut to seeing open water? Like,
No, I mean, I don't feel like good or bad about it, if that makes
Okay,
sense. You know what I
okay.
mean, when I see the ocean, I'm not like the gorgeous ocean, I'm also not like scared of it. It's just sort of nothing.
Yeah, like if you show me that, like if it's like a video, or if your whole frame of view is water, and they're like, that's terrifying to me. Like when you think about like the waves out there and shit, like when you're way out there. So
It's just one of those things, kind of like forests and things, where it's like it's not for you.
yeah, no, we're not
You know what
supposed.
I mean?
We're not supposed
You're not
to be
supposed
dicking around in the
messing
ocean.
around in there. That's
No.
where the big animals go. That's where all the good stuff is.
At least with forests and jungles and even deserts, at least we can get there on foot. Like realistically, I could walk out of this building and walk for 8 hours that way, and I am somewhere I'm not supposed to be, but at least I could just get there. You know what I mean? We're never gonna end up in the middle of the Pacific Ocean on a
I'm rocking with you.
on some noodles. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like we're not supposed to be there. It requires a lot of engineering. Same with space. I'd go up to space though if I had the opportunity.
I don't think it's going to come up for you.
I don't
this
think so
point.
either. Wait, I'm not. I could have gone up with Bezos's wife and Katy Perry and fucking talked to Instagram.
I think I like the idea of that mix of people for sure.
Them and then me.
Yeah. I like the idea of you doing anything with Katy Perry. I think that's a
Yeah.
good bit. That's like, how like when like a Katy Perry or like a John Mayer will go on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
I imagine that would be the similar vibe of them hanging out with you.
Yeah, it would be.
What do you think? Which Muppet do you think you would be?
Oh, I'll be honest, Timothy. I don't really. Now I'm not trying to be funny here. Who is Kermit a Muppet?
Yeah.
Okay. The Muppets are from Sesame Street.
Well, no. Sesame Street's its own place.
There's no crossover whatsoever.
Well, I'm sure they've.
The Muppets is a completely separate
they're all done
entity.
by Jim Henson, so I'm sure that they've hung
Because
out
for a
before.
second, I would have assumed that Sesame Street and the Muppets were completely separate entities, but for a second, I thought maybe that's what you were saying. Can you give me some Muppet ideas? I don't know, man.
For you, I mean, Big Bird comes to mind to a certain degree.
I kind of am Big Bird, yeah. But you just said he's not a Muppet.
Snuffleupagus. I understand, but maybe I'm just talking about Muppets in general.
Isn't there a conspiracy with Sesame Street?
I don't
It probably is.
Maybe
We'll look it up.
Yeah, look. Obviously, if he puts in Sesame Street conspiracy, something's going to come up.
Yeah, he'll find something.
I don't know for you. I think
I don't think I'm that far off from Big Bird.
maybe Swedish Chef.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of loud.
I don't know
doing
him.
crazy stuff. You know him. He like cooks and
I'm sure I've seen him. I can picture him, I think, yeah. It's like that video that we like of
yeah.
Kermit. If you're gonna add two We're just gonna have one shot of vodka.
Oh yeah.
Glug glug glug.
I like any meme with Kermit. I think.
Yeah.
I also feel like I probably am Kermit. He's kind of like stressed all the time.
Yeah.
It's probably, unfortunately, the vibe.
Yeah. I'm the Muppet that is in that Office.
No, you're just Elmo. The more I think about it. Yeah, dude, you're Elmo.
Yeah. Does Elmo get nasty when he's hungry?
No, he doesn't get nasty. He's just like, doesn't know where he is all the time and shit like that.
Yeah, no, I am a passenger. Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
we've covered a lot of ground here.
Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about that soapbox derby. So
okay, go ahead.
So I'm scrolling through HBO, right back into it like we never left. And basically I'm like, this wholly interests me. As a kid, my elementary school would have fairs. And once a year, they turn the gymnasium into a fair. And, this is a gymnasium 3 times the size of the room that we're in. It's not a terribly large gymnasium. But in the center of it, there would be a soapbox derby track, similar to the Hot Wheels track that you have for Gia.
Are you talking about like you sit in the?
No, I'm interested in a soapbox derby straight up that you make human size and sit in and luge down a street. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying though is a similar association, but when I was a kid, it's going to sound sad, but kids and their dads would make soapbox cars and they would race them at the fair. I never had a dad that would do that with me. So I'd be like, fuck, dude, I just want to make this little soapbox. You would just make a soapbox car, but it'd be at the size of a big Hot Wheel out of a wood block.
It's like
Pinewood. Like a soapbox.
It's like Pinewood Derby, right?
You got it. Yeah, exactly. Is that what it is?
Like for Boy Scouts, that's what we did, yeah.
Is that what it is? Where you don't sit in it?
Would you make it out of wood and then you'd put the little wheels in and then you would
exactly.
go down?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so that's what it is? Pinewood Derby, you're calling it?
Yeah.
We had Pinewood Derby, so I've always had this association.
Finding out Cole is part of the Boy Scouts is the least surprising thing that's ever happened.
I didn't even bat an eye. I do feel like I knew it, but I was like, well, of course. Look at him. He's got all the gear and all the gadgets. He knows. You could probably tie some good knots, huh, Cole?
I know a few, yeah.
Such a funny
He's not
brag.
joking either. Yeah. He's serious. So anyway, I had this association where I loved the idea of these little things, and I so badly wanted to participate, but just didn't have the means. You know what I mean? So anyway, I saw this thing and I was like, well, this interests me, so we're gonna watch it. Whole point that I'm getting at has nothing to do with the soapbox, although a couple people fell and skinned their shit up pretty good. So you know what I mean? It got me thinking when you're talking about falling on a Lime scooter. You know who's hosting this Red Bull Soapbox Derby event is Dale Earnhardt Jr. And it got me thinking. I had a teacher in elementary school who I knew her sons because they lived next to my buddy's house and we would all play kickball and shit in the summer. And she basically, her identity, like let's say today was the first day of class, right? And she's introducing herself to this new squad of kids. Part of her identity would be like, and also, if I ever have the chance to meet Dale Earnhardt Jr., I will leave my husband and my kids to be with Dale Earnhardt Jr. That was her
How old
bit.
were the kids in this room?
This was 5th grade.
Seems like a strange thing to be.
But it just reminded me, every time I see Dale Earnhardt Jr.,
I think
of this teacher and being like, it's so funny that like she owned that she would leave her kids and husband if the opportunity arose to
and
end
if you're
up with Dale
listening and you're
Earnhardt
like,
Jr.
who the hell's Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Look him up.
Look up
if
Dale
you're thinking
Jr.
of like a Ryan Gosling type, you are wrong.
No, listen. He's from Ashtabula looking. Yeah. No, you're looking up Dale Earnhardt, bro. I'm talking Dale Jr.
Yeah, show
Come
us
on,
Jr.,
get with
man.
it, bro.
I like that we're not talking now, waiting for him to show us Dale.
Yeah, Dale Jr. There you go.
That's just a guy. That's any
just a
guy. If you go to like, you know what I mean? Like you go to Walmart right now, you're going to see 55 guys.
You know what it
like
is?
him.
That guy, he'd be parked outside of Whole Foods and he'd have beach gear and a fat fucking Tacoma. You know what I mean? Like he's a dude that has done well for himself, but he's still just buying jet skis and the like. You know what I mean? Like that's who that guy is.
He's making money, but he's made zero investments, and like the investments are like
jet skis.
His 5 ski-doos, and yeah, he's heavily vested in ski-doo.
Listen. I really need Ski-Doo to have a good year. He's telling his buddies.
It's not even because he has, I don't know if they're publicly traded. It's just because he owns them and wants them to be worth more than they were the year before.
These are an investment, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He just washes them outside on a trailer.
Yeah. Have you ever been a jet ski snowmobile kind of guy?
Not a snowmobile, but a jet ski. Yeah. I had, like, there was one at my uncle's lake that I,
like a
sort of mine, the one I used.
And when you say this, like, are you talking Lake Erie? Where were you?
It was
like
just,
a big man-made lake?
One of the lakes where, people make meth next to where I'm from.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And,
shopping carts right there.
And you like, we had the like straightforward like one. And then there was also at a time, my uncle had the one that like, the top moves around like the Wave Runner game. You know what I'm talking
That's
about?
exactly what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask if there were sit downs or stand ups.
Both.
Cool.
So you could jump the one and dive it a little bit.
I know what you're talking about. You would do that?
Yeah, man. I told you I did wakeboarding.
Oh yeah, you were good at wakeboarding. We have talked about this. You're right.
Yeah. We did a lot of lake activities. So
see, that's really cool to me. That's really cool to me. I did enjoy a jet ski, sit down jet ski. I've ridden one in a lake in New York. Like the Finger Lakes?
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
It's nothing better than you and your buddies just hugging each other, riding a jet ski around.
I know what you're saying.
In 7th grade and you think you're cool. It's like, that's just my buddy holding onto my waist back there. Just going to go tool around, pick up some girls.
Me and my best friend growing up, we went and stayed at this lake in the Finger Lakes region, like near Chautauqua, New York. You know what I mean? So not necessarily upstate. It's technically like Southwest, but you get the idea. And we're staying out there, and it's the middle of summer. 2 fun things happened on this trip. One, we watched a guy's boat sink. A boat that you could have fit 2 of them on this rug. So not a very terribly large boat. Small enough, it had a motor, but small enough 1 or 2 guys could go out there and fish. You know what I mean? And we see this guy on the dock, and he's head in his hands. My shit's sunk last night, this, that, and the other. So me and my buddy were like, don't worry, we got it. And we got this fucking boat, bailed all the water out, and fucking got this boat on land for this dude. So that was...
Why?
It was a fulfilling project. It was a project that we could have completed. You know what I mean? This is me and my buddy. You know what I mean? That was what we were interested in doing. It was just like projects. We got it, buddy. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? And I think we even leveraged it for like $5 to go get some candy at the where there'd be bathrooms and candy and concessions, etc. Same trip. We were just whipping around the jet skis, and I remember it was like raining and the water was kind of rough, but we were whipping, and I just thought that was fun. But I spent more time on snowmobiles than jet skis, which no one actually identifies with out here. Because I never had a 4-wheeler or a dirt bike or nothing like that. But I spent a lot of time on snowmobiles, surprisingly enough.
There's a big snowmobile culture where I'm from. Like there was like a golf course like in the back. And they would tear that fucking golf course up in the winter.
100%. I mean, that's how I learned how to backflip on a snowboard. Me and my buddy would drag each other with a tow rope on a snowmobile on the golf course he lived on, build little kickers, and go buck wild.
Around.
Yeah. If you get a foot and a half of snow, you can literally surf it, bro. Like wakeboard it. It's like so deep. So sick.
It is so sick.
It's so sick, dude. So... Anyway,
okay.
So that was the Dale Jr. story. That was the Dale Earnhardt Jr. story.
We've covered a lot of ground and gone nowhere today.
Yeah. Well, it's been we're catching back up. So
this is catching up for us. This is what we. This isn't like current news. This isn't things that happened to us. These are like old things that happened in like 1997 that we're discussing now.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It just it must just be top of mind. And I'll tell you. All seriousness, driving in this morning, I said I am going to bring up the Dale Jr. story. Like that's what I brought. That's what I'm going to bring up the Dale. So my teacher is saying she'd leave her husband and kids. What'd you do? Not this weekend, but the weekend prior. Did you get anything fun? Anything of note?
Don't know. I don't think I really know.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was like one of the few weekends in a while where we haven't had stuff.
Yeah.
So
you guys just kind of took it easy.
Ran errands and shit like that, man, but nothing to report. And if I'm forgetting something, my apologies, but I don't remember doing anything in particular. Nothing to be like, oh, listen to this.
Yeah. No, I feel
you. What about you?
Mowed the lawn and did a lot of yard work. We got a lot of rain and it's been popping off over there, so that's about it. Actually, no. I am so happy to report that not the weekend prior, but this last weekend, skipping to this most recent weekend, we did do a proper donation run, a trash run, put a bunch of shit out by the road. My garage is empty. Next to come, rugs, old futon, put the TV out there. And it's a weed dungeon. Cole just said it, yeah. So, Timothy, you're almost about to be able to come over to my house. So
me just standing outside of it, looking in, going, yeah.
Look at this.
I'm not going to go in. It's cool.
But no, I mean, literally that's about it. Like in terms of catching up for the last 2 weekends, I've mowed the front and backyard twice now.
I love that nothing else makes it a weed dungeon other than the fact that you'll smoke weed out there. It's not like you're going to get one of those gas masks.
No.
Gas mask bongs.
Have you ever smoked out of a gas mask?
No, I never knew anyone who had one.
Right before I left college, and I mean, like, it would have been like the last week of me having an apartment in Kent. My buddy came up on one, and I smoked out of it, and it was a trip. For any, if I can explain narcotics to anybody here who doesn't know, it's literally just like, imagine like if you were to smoke like a joint, which you could liken to a cigarette if you're unfamiliar. All the smoke just stays within the gas mask. So instead of keeping shit out, it actually keeps it in. So you're just every breath in or out is just weed smoke, and you can't see nothing.
It's like personalized hotboxing.
Yeah, it's just personalized hotboxing. So
yeah. Anyway,
that's that. But I have, in fact.
I'm not surprised. It's not like you're saying this. I'm like, no, you're kidding. Yeah.
Wait, you were talking about volcanoes the other day. Who are you talking about?
I can't dox the person.
Oh, okay.
Person's a famous person technically. I just thought
I totally forget what it is. I don't
that
even
they
remember.
were an adult and at a party they were doing volcanoes.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. They were talking about how it's funny that like the sound it makes when you move it.
Yeah, the bag is all crinkly.
Yeah, it's just funny. It's a funny concept.
Yeah. To add to the lore, if anybody wants to add to the lore of Mike of the clam chowder soup, he exclusively smoked out of a volcano for years.
It's hilarious.
So,
the funniest possible thing you could smoke weed out of.
Yeah.
The sound of that thing expanding is just...
Well, and the imagery of it's the same quality of imagery as, say, Coneheads with Dan Aykroyd. When you see the picture quality and that time in the world, just one click over is the volcano smoking device.
Can you tell me what year volcanoes were invented? Is that something you'd be able to look up?
I'm sure you can look that up.
I think it's later than we're thinking.
Yeah.
But it's like at one time this was premier technology.
Yeah.
People
I know
would be
Cole
like,
knows about it.
I know a guy that spent $1,000 on a volcano.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of old. It's 1998.
1998?
When did Coneheads come out?
Now look up when Coneheads come out. That's got to be earlier though.
Yeah, that's got it.
Probably
92? No, maybe even earlier.
93.
That's fucking close.
They waited till I was born, put it out the year after.
Like, we got to get this thing out.
Stupid.
You didn't even like it. We're really getting full circle in this podcast when you're even recognizing stupid.
Dumb bit, dude.
It's a dumb bit. As a throwaway. All right. There's nothing stupid about this podcast. We're just looking up when volcanoes came out and how that correlates to Coneheads coming out, which has nothing to do with
listen. If you're listening to this can't be new to you. Great actor though, Dan Aykroyd. Him in 2025 is a real treat. He's got that skull
vodka.
Is it vodka?
He's super into aliens and shit too.
And I was gonna say he's very, very deep into it. But the thing is
you think him and Tom DeLonge?
I was just gonna say if we could just get those two together,
that's a podcast.
We'll get those files.
It's a podcast that you think is gonna be fun, and then you listen to it and you're like, oh, it's kind of like pretty boring. I'm not sure they really know anything.
They're like, lost my entire family, but I do have some disclosure for you guys.
Yeah. It's on these documents that I got from a guy.
You're doing a good day.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, Jesus, dude.
Yeah, that's tight.
That's the thing. Like, I love alien shit. And then as soon as you listen to like a deep dive into it, you're like, all right, these guys are kind of...
Well, it's like George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. They have that, you know who I'm talking about, both those fellas. They're like, you know, they've done the documentaries and both of them were involved with Bob Lazar, which... I think Bob Lazar is, whether you like this shit or not, you think we're being stupid or not, like, watch a documentary on that guy. It feels like I feel like he's telling the truth, at least a little bit. You know what I mean?
He believes he's telling the truth. That's for sure.
So let's just, if you take 5% of what he says to be truth, that's still crazy.
Still
you
enough
know what
to
I
be
mean?
wild, yeah.
But you get those guys talking, George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, and you're like, oh, fuck, man. Like, you could be talking to me in line at a Taco Bell. You know what I mean? Like, this is the vibe that I don't trust your.
They don't seem put together enough to be the spokespeople for this thing. You know what I mean?
No, and like they both will say like nasty little shitty catty little comments. And
This
I'm
tends
like,
to happen
you're supposed to be
with
talking
these,
to the
like,
government.
Fringe guys. It's like who's that fucking like guy who is like the most bloated man on earth that can't breathe, that is like represents like the far right. You know what I'm talking about? You know who's that guy?
Alex Jones.
Yeah. That guy. Doesn't he seem like he's like a dog who's got sleep apnea?
Yeah, dude. He's like a pug crossed with a I don't got it. But you know, pugs can't breathe.
Yeah.
I was trying to think what's like a bulldog. Two dogs that don't really have
I don't
the
think
physical
you're giving them
capabilities.
enough credit. I mean, he looks like a guy who's only drank like salt water, and then
creatine.
Nobody looks more unhealthy than that guy.
Yeah.
He's the
Stuffed in
pinnacle
there.
of like of American health habits.
I mean, last I heard, I'm pretty sure he's toast. He got run.
so
He got
cool.
run for all his money, which is great. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they finally got his ass. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not done quite yet, but
There are some clips online of him doing things that are funny. You know, it's like, I fucking obviously hate Trump, but if you get a clip of him calling someone like a, you know, I don't know, he uses a lot of funny terms, and you're like, that is funny.
Creighton.
Yeah. That guy. Every time you're like, that's a walking sleep apnea mask.
Yeah.
What are those called?
CPAP
CPAP
machines.
machine.
Yeah, hell yeah.
He is Alex CPAP Jones.
Hey.
Okay, we got to get out of this. Here, I have a couple things.
Yeah. I know you have some topics you've been saving.
I don't know if these are topics, which is funny.
You said, well, before you even said, I don't know what they are.
Well, first of all, I wanted to bring up a guy to you at the gym.
Yeah. You gave
Because
me
I know
a brief
you like
primer.
when I do this,
Yeah.
but things have been a little. Here's the thing: around this time of year, when the kids go away, the gym gets a little quieter, which is nice, but there's less flavor.
It's always amazed me because if you're a student, you have access to the campus gym.
I don't
Why
know.
don't you just
I don't
fucking
know.
go
It's
use?
mostly kids though. It's mostly like kids that are like trying to date there, basically. Yeah, especially at the height. If you go to the gym on like a Thursday at 6 or 7 p.m., it is just like it's like a dating app.
Yeah.
They're just like talking and hanging out and high fiving and doing weird flirting.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch too.
I'm sure you love it. Yeah.
So I'm currently in a morning shift right now. There's a guy that's been showing up though.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
He is the most straight edge guy maybe in the world.
Yeah.
He has, Chase, so many straight edge tattoos that it doesn't. If he's listening, shout out my guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
I'm
come
sure.
see us.
Yeah, but this is like he's got huge triple X's from like thigh to
Yeah. Is it the collegiate
all down the
one?
cap. Yeah.
Where they
guy.
form the arrows between the X's and line up. Yeah.
Huge.
Big.
There's
big
also
body,
there's
strong,
other stuff. Regular.
All of the above.
Totally regular.
Just a big guy.
No.
Oh,
regular.
you're saying the tattoos are huge.
The tattoos themselves are massive.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he has any tattoos that aren't straight edge, or at least I didn't identify one that wasn't a straight edge tattoo.
Yeah.
So this guy is like all in.
Hey.
You got to go show him your feet.
I have a big old X on my foot in the font Arial. So
Yeah. Classic font.
classic font. It's like the default for Microsoft Word.
What do you think the font is now? You know how everyone liked Helvetica for a long time? What's the font now? What does everybody like now? Is there like a thing?
I don't know, man.
What's the most popular font? And we're abusing our power here. What's the most popular font in 2025 of standard approved fonts?
I don't know, man.
Are we back to Arial?
No. It's if it's any sans serif, it's going to be Helvetica.
I would never change my font in like anything that I do personally.
Yeah,
it's
well,
whatever it preloads with. That's what we're using.
You know,
You got it? Is it unusual?
No, it's Helvetica.
It still
Helvetica.
is.
Yeah, and then next is Montserrat.
Montserrat, which is
Yeah.
We're familiar with Montserrat.
Not wingdings.
Not wingdings. Never wingdings.
Were you a guy at one point being in like design school that was like hard on fonts?
Yeah, I was into typeface design.
Yeah.
I like Helvetica. Helvetica's cool, but for anyone out there who wants something sans serif that might have a little bit more flavor, I like Accidens Grotesque. There's a couple Z's in there. Grotesque is like that'd be like the font family. It's like a grotesque font, like a very sans serif, sharp edges.
It's kind of metal.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's like what old posters from Swiss design would have been set in and shit. But yeah, I got into it. But I actually think that design is like the most uncool thing about anything.
This is what happened. A bunch of people went to school and started doing this shit, and they're like, we need to make documentaries about this. And you're like, no, I don't know that we needed documentaries about fonts.
Yeah, no, Accidens Grotesque. AKZIDENZ.
Yeah, it's a Cannibal Corpse. Look that up.
Yeah, I like Accidens Grotesque. It's really cool. But no, Timbo, I mean, I've made a handful of fonts, and in fact, Chirabo and I were chit-chatting the other day. He does all the handwriting for when the videos come out. You know how it does like that font, that type that bounces back and forth? You know, when it starts, that's his handwriting that he then scans in. And I was like, he goes, hey, I think I want to make a font. And I was telling him, you know, basically, if you create all the characters, A caps, do 4 or 5 variations of that, all the way through lowercase, all the way to Z, plus numerals and some punctuation. You can then, Adobe Illustrator has plugins now where you can basically have all of these letter forms on a document, run this like macro command. It takes all of this and basically creates a font for you and links them to these keystrokes, and then you can individually kern them. Long story short, anybody can make a font with their handwriting. If you were to like, I don't know, you could take a page of a book, scan it in, and make a font of those exact scans of those letters. If like you were like, hey, I like how these letters look printed on this paper. Anyway, point being, I took it seriously. I think it's so silly and dumb now. What I should have done was taken my love for letter forms and gotten into sign painting in college. That's what I should have done.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like I should have. I was interested in it then, but I sold myself short because, in fact, remember, Sam, guest of the pod, put out Sign Painters. It was debuting at the Akron Museum of Art near where I went to school. And I was like, I'm not even going to go because I know I'm going to get into it. I'm going to obsess about it. And nobody even likes sign paint. So I'm not even but I wish I would have given myself the chance. But yeah, graphic design is silly, dude. It's so silly and meaningless.
I think that like it's cool when done at a high level. It's just there got to a point. I think everyone that's like in the field could also be like, at a certain point, it's not like rock star shit. You know what I mean? Like let's chill out a little bit on how it seems like everybody suddenly was like into it, and you're like, we're not into it. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I don't know. I just think it's like not cool. I just think it's not cool. I thought that I was having fun in college doing it and this, that, and the other, but then it just like became like really, really severely uncool. Just like the people that I was around, I was like, man, you guys are fucking losers. And you know, let me crow, because I'm being really severe here. I had a hard trouble taking school seriously, and had I taken it seriously and done better and felt better about the shit I was putting out, maybe I would have a different opinion. So I'm going to be honest and earnest in saying that. But I also rejected the culture of it because of the way kids acted.
That's the problem. There became, especially like when like us in our 20s, there was a culture around graphic design where this was suddenly like a cool guy who just had like tight blue jeans and a black shirt and then like bold black glasses. And you're like, you can always see him coming from a mile away at a party. And you're like, actually, what I do for a living, I mean, what would I call it? And you're like, no. We're not doing this. This is not that interesting. I appreciate what you're doing. I think that's cool, but we don't need this doesn't need to be a god.
No, 100%. So I think that there's all things that I just said were true. I don't think that I am the best student. I wasn't the best student at that point in my life. I didn't take it seriously. I didn't understand the money I was spending. I was more so there to fuck around with my boys, play video games, and argue with my girlfriend. That was like most of what I did in college. And as did everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But it got to a point where I was like, ugh, this is gross and I don't like it. And I actively rebelled against it. And I couldn't take it seriously. I couldn't bring myself to like want to do a good job because I thought my peers were so fucking dorky and self-obsessed about like, you guys have to know that this doesn't matter outside of this little nook in nowhere of fucking Ohio. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't like it. Yeah.
Really touched on a hot button issue. Hey, I got another hot button issue for you. I was
me.
thinking about, well, because we're in the middle of we're starting to, or in like preparing to going to like we already have to start buying again, for fall.
Yeah.
They're just these brands pushing it up further and further. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we're back in. What season are we going into? Well, when we buy, I want you to tell me what comes to mind when I ask you that.
Are you doing a bit?
I'm not doing a bit. What's next season that we'll be buying for?
Spring, summer 26.
That's what we already bought. What will we buy next?
Fall, winter 25.
Okay.
26.
This is what we need to fix though, because I can't handle spring, summer. We all agree. SS, whatever it is. Fall, winter. Half of us are calling it autumn, winter. Half of us are calling it fall, winter. AW, FW. I don't like it. We all have to get on the same page in fashion.
Fall, winter.
You're
Fall,
a
winter,
fall,
unless
winter.
you're a fucking aristocrat, you can call it autumn. But unless you got multiple zeros in your bank account, it's fall.
If I lined up somebody from all 50 states,
Yeah.
and I say, okay, we got spring, we got summer, we got winter. What am I missing here? How many people are going to say autumn?
I think nearly everybody will say fall. It's the high fashion brands that use autumn.
It's like an old thing.
I think it's a signaling thing. I legitimately associate autumn with like not poverty, like not poverty, but like people that I went to high school with weren't saying autumn. Do you understand?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I'm saying if you lined up a diverse cast, no one's going to say autumn.
No one's gonna say
unless
autumn.
they're like doing a thing, and you're like,
No,
okay,
maybe
all right.
people in England say autumn.
Perhaps.
You
I
know?
guess that's true. We're dealing with worldwide brands. I guess I
Yeah.
don't know. What do they call it in Japan?
Japan feels like
that's
they
the
could
problem.
also do
They're
it
still mixed. The
autumn.
problem is everyone's mixing it though. Like because we're not all on the same page of what
I have
season
to say,
this is.
we've been doing this for a long time.
This is a very internal thing, I understand. But I do think that there's people that like have followed fashion and shit and like think about like, why do they call it? I think about it all the time. I'm like, which one? Because I go to write it because I have
Yeah.
to like save all my stuff and I'm like, and I'll half the time I put in AW or FW just looking at whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are we doing? Why is there a mix up here? Because there's no version of this for spring.
Because you use fall, winter. You never say
Generally
autumn,
speaking,
winter.
I just put FW whatever. FW 25, FW 26, whatever it is.
I'm still amazed that we're buying for fall, winter 26. That does not, like, they really are pushing it up, huh? Because
Yeah, man, it's too much. We just did it.
Like we're not even within a year
I
of when we'll
understand
start
that.
getting product.
I understand that.
This is way too early.
I
What
don't
is
make
it?
the decision.
What's the deal? Why is this happening?
I don't know. I think probably a lot of it has to do with
Brands want deposits sooner.
they want money probably because that's
Yeah.
how they produce. The sooner they get it out, the sooner they get the money, they can move it on. It doesn't really matter to them when they drop it. You know what I mean? Personally, it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter in a lot of those cases. So it's more to us. So we're getting like stuff in like July or June that's for fall, winter. And you're like, Jesus, man, like no one's thinking about that right now, So it's tough.
Yeah.
But then if you don't do that, the season will be so condensed. But that's the problem. We need to stop pretending. The idea that anything is delivering in even August for fall is nuts. August? That's not it. We got to accept that like the reality is fall begins at this point in like basically October. Like,
In
and
my
that's the
opinion,
beginnings
fall
of it.
is October 1.
September is hot all the way through.
At
this
least
point.
here. At least here,
think
dude.
in most
My
places at
tomato
this
plants will still be putting out tomatoes in the middle of September.
I'm not saying you can't go up into the mountains and like get yourself a nice fall day in September. I'm sure that's doable, but that's
100%.
not the reality of like most places. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, to be fair, you can go up to roads in the national park in September and be in dead winter.
So all I'm saying is
but-
like I think on the average, like it's fall begins in October and it's barely fall at that point. Winter used to be November used to be the beginning of winter, but that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
That's just hard fall. December is barely winter. January begins winter, and then you go into and then it doesn't even like we've just exited now, and we're halfway through May.
Yeah.
So we got to accept that the seasons have changed, and we just got to change the fashion with it. I thought it was going to happen when COVID shut everything down and messed it all up.
Give everybody the opportunity to
for some reason
regroup.
we came out and we're doing things even earlier now. I would not be surprised if we start talking about like a year, like a spring summer 28 in 2027. Like that's when it's arrived. You know what I mean? Like it's arriving in November. of the year prior.
I see what you're saying. Pushing it so far ahead that it actually
we're
arrives
working
at
in the
early
future
calendar
and
year.
in the past. I don't know.
I mean, the thing is what there is no eloquent solution. We can't.
No,
we
everyone
can't
would have to
slack
stop.
every brand ever and say, "Hey, we're all now gonna. Do we all agree here? React with a thumbs up if you like that." You know what I mean? Like, it's just never gonna happen.
There would be the white guy, the do-rag went by again.
Dude, he's just having a good Tuesday.
I think that like I don't think there is any solution. You have to get everyone on the same page, and that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Son of a gun.
Plus, it like messes with big stuff. Like, how is Vogue going to put out the September issue if it's not the September? You know what I mean? They're going to have to like change the brand.
Yeah.
So it's old guard shit, I think, a lot of it, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Wow, that blows my mind. I mean, I guess you're right, but son of a gun.
How are we feeling about, you feel like you got any fall trend predictions now that we have to go into this already and start thinking about it? Someone was just asking me the other day about trend predictions.
You know, I really don't. I think that where we're at right now is like a pretty nondescript time. Not in a bad way. I just feel like I can't pin down. Again, we talk about it. Early COVID, 2020, 2021, 2022. It was every loud thing you had. It was, sneakers and a bunch of colors and a million layers and maximalist and huge fucking pants and this, that, and the other. And I feel like everything has rebounded to like a kind of even keel down the middle. It's not terribly baggy, or people are still doing roomy, but also people are starting to maybe go a little bit more towards regular, like you predicted, not slim. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just
but
regular.
I think like a regular cut. You know what I mean?
People don't know what to do right. I mean, the reality is like, I think a return to just good clothes is great. You know,
I
just
completely agree.
You know, I think that like, especially menswear is confusing in that like, it's experimented for, in my opinion, like truly experimented in the last 10 to 15 years for the first time in its life. You know, and it's like really experimental, like
in a large way where a lot of people are participating, not just a niche, small percentage of people.
There was the least amount of homogenous menswear that's ever existed. Let's try to put it that way. So it's like for the first time, so many different places had so many different opinions at the same time, and I think that that's like great, and the experimentation is great, and I think menswear in particular needed it to shake guys out of the like I can't wear a slightly baggier pant than everyone else. You know what I mean? There was just not a lot of room for self-expression. Yeah. At least at large. Yeah. And that's sort of changed for the first time, and I think that's great. But I also think that then it got so that way that no one really even had a consensus on what was good. And because of lack of editorials, like I've complained about, there's nobody sort of leading as a tastemaker anymore, in my opinion. You've got a bunch of influencers, but who you see or get served, or who you see and get served in algorithms or whatever is different than what I'm seeing, you know? So we're all getting served different things. And I don't think any of these people are tastemakers, especially like, no offense to influencers, there's a lot of people doing really cool and great things, but at the same time, these aren't necessarily, these are a lot of times, at least from what I've seen, and these are guys, we've interviewed a lot of them. They've gotten into fashion relatively recently, all things considered. You know, like in the past couple of years, you can't be a tastemaker like a Glenn O'Brien or something in a couple of years of being interested in something. That requires decades of following it and understanding trends and ups and downs and all the differences, and, you know, really appreciating, like you can't appreciate fine art by like studying it even for a couple of years. You need to like really be in that world for a long time to understand the nuance and subtlety and appreciate a lot of different kinds of things. So because of that, we don't have any like trend leader. I know that G Crew's made some efforts and done some interesting things with different people. But at the same time, I don't think we have like, you know, those few guys who are really going like, I'm putting my stamp of approval on these things. These are coming out of this world or doing this thing. And I think that I don't even know if that can exist anymore, and maybe that's okay, but it is harder to be like, what's the general consensus in fashion right now? And the problem with that, I think, is that all of these different houses right now have new people for the first time. So it's like, I don't know how many it was. I don't know. We could count them up. But I feel like there's at least 6 to 8 houses that have new people beginning this year. So for the first time. And everyone knows they'll usually make a splash with first season, but that's still kind of, you're usually carrying on some old stuff that's already been in production, already has already been like approved and through the pipeline. So you have to deal with that plus some of what you're doing, and you have to have this opinion coming out of the gate. So I feel like there's not too many debut collections that are truly great. I'm not saying none, but there's not a ton.
Sure.
I think it takes sophomore, junior year to really like make an impact, because now you've been there long enough to have brought your vision to life.
Sure.
So we're going to be in a spot, in my opinion, for at least the next year or two of these sort of more established designers or newer designers that are really starting to have their opinion. You can be like, I love Aura Lee. Well, Aura Lee, I mean, he's obviously been designing a long time, but like Aura Lee as a brand has not been around very long. So it's just starting to have its real opinion out there and really like being a fully fledged idea for the first time. So I think that you see brands like that, or like people that are getting their shine, like we see it with like Le Maire, like really, people really appreciating it on a higher level
consistently too. Yeah.
So it's not that like, he's had his, very particular set of rules and standards inside of his design for a long time, but I think people are starting to see it and appreciate it for the first time.
Sure.
So I think because of those being sort of what's going on in fashion, I mean, think about how many things have like come and gone, in that you would have thought like, oh, they would have been someone that we go to that have come and gone. And I think that a lot of that's because they had a hard opinion. And I think that's great sometimes. But Aura Lee or like Le Maire doesn't have like a hard opinion necessarily. And I know I'm just talking about brands I like, but
yeah. Well, it's easier to relate that way. Yeah.
But it's much more about storytelling. It's much more about fabric design. It's much more about silhouette and proportion and following some sort of set of guidelines. And it's an all-encompassing brand, and it exists, and it's done all this like world building inside of itself. There's not that many brands inside of menswear that have had either enough time or have had a steady enough thought all the way through to do that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Especially not at that level. So, and I'm really talking more at like the runway level right now. So I think that we're going to deal with that for a little while, which I'm fine with, which is just like, I think we're going to thrive in this era of like, it's really good clothes, it's really good stories, it's really good fabrics, and that's it. That's enough. There doesn't need to be all the flexing that was going on. We're all good on that. Because like fashion as a whole is kind of sick of that. There's the streetwear is in a weird place right now. I don't think it has a good opinion right this minute. I don't know what it is. I think it's sort of been a little lost since the loss of Virgil, because there was somebody that was kind of like a true north to what that was and what that movement was. I'm not saying that there's nothing going on, by the way. That's never true. But I think people are having to like work underground right now to like invigorate some of this stuff.
Sure.
So I think that's what's happening. You're watching like creatives hopefully being creative for a little while and figuring some things out. There's nothing to whiplash against though, and that's normally what happens as I see it, is like there's a trend and everyone understands it, and then there is a hard whiplash of like, I don't like that, so I'm going to do whatever the total opposite of it is. And then that feels like a big opinion. And right now I don't think there's much to like have that knee-jerk reaction to. So what are you going to do? Have a knee-jerk reaction to Aura Lee? It's like, what could you possibly, what is going the opposite way of that necessarily? I mean, I'm sure there's a version, but it's been done. What are you going to do? Go like Rick Owens style, like, full goth? I mean, what is the thing? And I think that people also really want to have like wearable clothes. I think a lot of the people that got into this, in their 20s are now in their 30s and 40s, depending on where you're at and how you got into it. But you might, for the first time, being like, I've experimented. I've tried a lot of things. I'm starting to figure out what my day-to-day, what kind of closet am I actually building? What kind of collection am I actually building? And being a little bit more thoughtful about the sum total, as opposed to I ride with this brand, or I want everyone to know that I wear this or that,
It's like a little bit of like the quiet luxury got everybody like, oh shit, if I make a little bit of investment, then there's more longevity or this, that, and the other. And now everybody's like, okay, cool. I've wrapped my head around maybe my clothes are a little more expensive, or I'm going to try things that maybe I would have thought were maybe, like you said, not wearable for me. Maybe my pants are going to be a little roomier or what have you. And now people are just like, no, I just want like the good shit that's going to get a lot of wear in my closet. I don't necessarily need to experiment all that much. I resonate with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think even that if you've had the chance to like experiment like you're talking about, you've probably been like, yeah, man, I can splash with shoes, so I've got like some louder stuff there, but I don't really do that with pants or whatever it is. And I think that you've seen guys have enough opportunity for the first time to like try a bunch of different things. So now it's sort of like, where are we actually landing?
Yeah.
But I say that, and what will happen, or as I honestly hope it happens because this is what I like fashion for. These new designers are going to get in there. They're going to do their own thing, and it's going to switch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's going to switch. They're going to have hard opinions. People are going to want to experiment because they will get bored with their wardrobe at some point. You just do. We've had like wardrobes, you and I have talked about it on this podcast. We're like, I think we've got the closet like pretty much dialed. Like I need this or that. And then all of a sudden, like year goes by and you're like, I'm sort of sick of this whole thing. I think I'm going to change some things up about what my opinions are. I've seen new brands or learned new things. It's just what it is. And I think that that's going to eventually happen here. We're going to see. But what I do like, or what I'm hopeful for on things that I like, and this is my being selfish, but these new designers are much more subdued. Like if you've watched their like lineage at all, and then what they're going into, like the houses that they're going into, I think the novelty's worn off with a lot of goofy stuff. I think maximalism is not interesting anymore. We've seen it; it's been done. Minimalism is boring. It's getting so bad. Menswear is plagued with minimalism, in my opinion. Yeah. Where it's like I love, very like subtle, pretty, luxurious things, but like the hard minimalist line is tough, man. It feels like every brand has experimented with it at some point. So I think people are getting really tired of that. Yeah. You know? I don't know what it'll be exactly. I think that, but I think I know that it's not going to live in extremes for the first time. You know what I mean? It's going to live somewhere in between, which I think probably breeds the most interesting things. It's kind of like boredom breeds the most interesting things. So 100%. I think that something new will happen out of it. I don't know what that is. I don't know what my prediction would even be. Yeah. I don't know. I just think that we've experimented in silhouette. We've experimented in color. We've experimented in fabric. We've, identity, blah, 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 blah. And now it's going to have to be more than that. The art's going to have to be more than just a reaction. It's going to have to be its own, Yeah,
I mean, I am curious as well. I personally think I like that you've been using Aura Lee as a good example here, because we've also, just since picking them up, have seen them change a little bit. Like, when we first picked up Aura Lee, I definitely thought of it as kind of like the quiet luxury shit, or, really fine fabrics that are supposed to be, like really cared for and coddled, and like the really fine sweaters and this, that, and the other. And now I think that they're still doing that, but through the lens of like, maybe it's less precious. Like those workwear jackets, or the jackets that we've sold out of, they're all kind of based Things in sort of twill ones, and it's like, it feels like they're still luxurious in that the material's nice and considered, and the dye is really considered a dye, especially, you know what I mean? But like, it's also like there's a chore coat with a corduroy collar that is like hefty, you know what I mean? And it's not gauzy.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that you're touching on something super interesting. I think that like what can kind of happen, like that guy's gotten low. I feel like that what's kind of happened is you're seeing like designer fashion for the first time in menswear. And what I mean by that is, so Aura Lee builds this beautiful world that you can live in. What they've done that's smart, same thing with like Le Maire, using them as the example too, is they've built rules and guidelines to their brand so that it's always, everything is now through the lens of that brand. Sure. And I think like, just to go like the opposite way, I think like Stussy can do this too. Stussy can go in and like grab whatever they want from any inspiration and go, what's it look like through the Stussy lens? Then that's the interesting thing, as opposed to just something bold and crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, what does it look like if workwear is done through the Aura Lee lens? Because that feels like such a interesting contradiction to what they normally do. So how would that look? And I think that's really unique.
Also, I just want to say real quick, and through Stussy, that's not a brand that I was into before we picked it up. It's not a brand that I was super familiar with. I associated it with like,
lightly missed our generation to a degree.
It feels like it,
Like it touched on me a little bit more than you, but
but I didn't have any sort of relationship with it. But it's really grown on me. Our audience responds really well to it, and that makes me happy. So I have good feelings towards the brand for that. But do you ever think about that blue hoodie we had? Remember,
it was the best blue that I've seen.
I wish I would have just picked that up. I didn't have any association with the brand, so I would have felt like a poser. I would have felt like I was doing something disingenuous to myself because I don't know the brand. So I'd be like, well, I'm going to pick up this brand with a big logo on the front. And now that I have some familiarity, I still think about and spin on that blue hoodie. If anyone out there has that blue hoodie we have, it said Stussy in like that arched lettering. It was the perfect color blue. I've never seen a nicer blue.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's like a really flat cobalt
fucking
blue. Yeah,
sick as hell. But anyway, yeah, Stussy's dope. Like, because you can get anything from them with like branded mesh mosh shorts, you know what I mean, to the branded hoodies, or like a nice zip sweater with a graphic woven into or knit into the sweater.
That's what I'm sort of getting at, is that like I think that for the first time what we're doing is allowing those brands to truly like be a brand and interpret things through them. You know what I mean? Like
only interpreting workwear through their lens of considered materials, the silhouettes, dye techniques.
Because now you're just interested in what the designer's take is on things that we all know.
Yeah,
and I think that becomes really interesting. You know what I mean? Like if you were to like, you know, it's like you take an artist and be like, what does suburban life look like to Picasso or whatever? You're like, well, that's interesting because I would like to see what that, you know what I mean? What is their interpretation?
Okay,
of it.
I feel you.
And I think that's what's starting to happen with some of these brands is they've been around long enough. There's a little bit of a legacy, especially with like newer brands, which I would say both of those are technically newer for the fashion world. And
all things considered,
yeah. So I think that's it'll be an interesting thing. I think that we're maybe starting to see a little bit of like a coming away from just brands and it being more about the designer. And I think that's what's great because a house should always represent a new designer, a new vision, a new thing, and be able to do it through, you know, their lens as well. So yeah, I think it's being appreciated as art for maybe the first time, and I like that. So I hope that's how we keep going.
Speaking of houses,
for, like, particular trends.
Speaking of houses, I am happy to report I am growing W.I.P tomatoes this summer.
What's that mean?
The ones that, you know, think of the W.I.P tomato, has all the wrinkles in it.
Oh,
how they're heirloom as fuck, you know?
I was like, they have branded seeds?
No. Oh, Timothy?
Yeah.
I think you just hit on something. Because how cool would that be? If you could buy designer seeds from a brand where they have, like,
grows like black potatoes.
Lemaire works with some heirloom French farmer, and his family has been passing down these seeds from generation to generation. You only get these fucking tomatoes. I would pay hundreds of dollars for a 20-pack of those seeds. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is so fucking cool.
I love when that wouldn't even surprise me if someone did that. I mean, technically, like Story Manufacturing puts seeds with you can bury the tags and, you know, grow seeds and shit. So I love when a designer's like personal interests, they try to force feed it. It's kind of like Lemaire being super into that like ambient like field recordings, dude. I was all in on it. You hooked me when they were doing that shit because I love that shit. But it was just like they were so hard shoehorning this poor guy into like he had a beautiful outfit. He looked fucking great. They did like a live performance that probably for like 6 people. But it's like one of these things where it's like that's just something you were interested in that you thought people are gonna get.
We're gonna make this work.
And it's like but it had nothing to do with what you were doing. I think that's great.
You know what? This is a subculture that I'm gonna try to figure out if there's a Discord for or something. Is this rare seed thing? Like, I really think there's something to it, Timothy.
You mean like boutique seeds?
Boutique seeds would be a way of thinking about it.
If it's not out there, we can do it right now. We'll just brand the hell out of it. It's not a problem at all.
I mean, I might honestly let's brainstorm. I might just build an identity deck. Fuck graphic design, but I'll do it anyway. Of something sick. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with like art supplies where I'm like, I'll just Google what is the most expensive thing of this one thing.
Yeah.
Because I want to know like what's it look like at the height? Like what's the boutique version? Like what is it? It's not about the money. It's like I just want to know how high can I go?
Yeah, it's just cool to know. Like again, how much would be a reasonable amount for a pack of 20 seeds, which a tomato that you were to grow for seeds certainly puts out.
What's the
hundreds.
number? What's an average number for a packet of seeds? We got to move on from
fucking
this.
$3.50
Okay, $3.50
for
are average.
Tomatoes.
Like if I just go to the Home Depot, I can buy a stupid bag of seeds.
Yeah, and I mean like even like when I buy my seeds from rareseeds.com, which again it's a really cool site, but it's Baker Creek. They're out of Missouri. If anyone out there is listening to this still, which thank you so much if you are.
You really rode with us today.
They're out of Missouri, I believe. And it's rareseeds.com, Baker Creek. It's like, I think they own the SEO for Rare Seeds. And anyway, point being is, I'm sure that a lot of those seeds are rare, but they sell their catalogs in Whole Foods. So if you ever seen that whole seed catalog or whatever in Whole Foods, that's that company. And if you flip through, it is, whether you're interested in gardening or not, they do talk about the lineage. They say this seed was introduced to us by so-and-so. Rumor has it that in the 40s, they got it from a farmer in West Virginia who had passed this down through generations. And that's really interesting to me. But if we could take it one step further.
Let me ask you this, on rareseeds.com, how much is it?
I'm telling you, like, again, at most $4 to $5. You know,
okay.
There might be some rare ones, like, for instance, like you might be able to get like ghost pepper seeds or something like that. The packet might only contain 5, and it might be $7. But largely, Timothy, under 10.
What do you think the ceiling that you would go to
for me?
Yeah,
if you're
$50?
saying,
you think you get $50 for a pack if it like looks really gorgeous?
Let's say a pack, just for the sake of conversation, contains 20 seeds, because there are times where sometimes they don't germinate, or you lose some, or you fuck up. Let's just say for the sake of conversation, the pack is 20 seeds. I would pay $100 for an heirloom variety of tomato if the story was there. Just like how I'm wearing this new coddle jacket. The story did it for me on so many levels. But if somebody wrote a sheet on 8.5 by 11 on why these seeds are special and had a story and lineage,
like Justin Chung photography of like them doing whatever they do to seeds, and then I think so too. I think we can get there, no problem. You know what I mean? I put these in tins. They aren't going in bags. They're going in tins. No, pretty tins you want to use for other things.
100% with you.
Don't steal this idea. Stop stealing all of our ideas. I know we're putting them out for public record for no reason.
You already go through the brand list, so enough with that. Stop taking our personal ideas.
Yeah. No, we're getting too personal now, but I think that I think that you could totally I feel like this is something I would buy. And here's the thing: you're not marketing how many 20-year-old kids are getting into gardening? They're not. It's 30 to 40-year-olds, and they got a little cash.
Yeah,
and this is that's not a huge splash, but it's a splash in what it is, which is sort of my dream world, which is that's the spending $100 on a single brush for paint just because. Because it's the thing, not that I even know how to use it properly. It's just it's wow. But it's this wasn't that much money. It's too much money for the item. I'm fine.
But it's a treat, and you like that. You know what I mean?
I'm saying. So I think $100 for a little tin. I think we could do it.
I completely agree. Speaking of which, we're going to come back to the seed thing.
Broncos Nut Truck. Let's use that.
Broncos Nut Truck. I swear to God, if I ever see Broncos Nut Truck worldwide, I'm setting your food truck on fire.
Yeah, it's ours. We just get to take it. If you did it,
actually, no. I'm taking the keys. I'm accosting you and taking the keys. Michelle is going to get a gift for one of her friends she's getting married this summer, and she was looking at these really nice handmade, tortoise or otherwise. I'm sure it's not actual tortoise shell. I don't think
about combs.
Combs and brushes.
I went down this path already.
Man, how fucking cool is that? I don't brush my hair.
G's got a nice one for this.
How cool is that, man?
Yeah. You can also get into the woods that you have to oil and stuff like this. Yeah. The wood combs and shit. This is a wild. Because
that's kind of where I want my life to go.
A friend of mine who's a hairstylist say I only use this kind of brush and you have to get it at this specialty store. And I was like, how much is it? It's $99. And this was 15 years ago, and I was like, holy shit. So in my mind, in $2007, that was $1,000. And I was like, oh my God. But then I was like, I got it. You got to have one, right? You know what I mean? I got to have whatever the best brush is.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes, I love shit like that. But we're at time. We got to do a question.
Okay, but real quick. I actually don't have any more thoughts around it. But I do want to build this boutique seed thing. So if anybody out there you've got extra time or money, or you have connections to the underground seed trade world.
Also, as long as you are if let's say you're an entrepreneur and you need some more new ideas or something, he and I can come up with 55 ideas real fast. Now listen, it is going to be an 8-hour day where the ideas happen in the last 25 minutes, but so you got to give us the full day to goof around, but we'll spit some dumb ideas out.
We're ideas people, and we've both no qualms with putting in a little bit extra work in the morning and at night. You know what I mean?
Now you're just pitching us as a team.
But but we have ideas and we've talked about them. And there's 3 or 4 that we could execute on here relatively soon.
Or we can just be a consulting company that we hired and we throw out these ideas and we don't have to do anything with them, which is maybe the way to go.
But you know what, dude? I'm kind of really spinning on this.
Or they can just listen to the podcast and steal them all too, which is what
you
they're
could
doing
do that.
currently.
So,
all right, ask us one question.
We got a question.
We gotta let people come to work.
Yeah, let's do the eBay one. So if I know Timbo obviously is this guy.
Yeah.
But what are your eBay saved searches, and what's been sitting in that save search.
So,
So you don't use eBay, which is dumb because you'd love
I don't
it.
use eBay.
Great smart.
I've gone through a couple times where I think I have the eBay app on my phone from when I was really into really into bowling last year. I was going to buy myself a bowling ball and the whole 9 yards. Yeah. So, and I was thinking, there's these few balls that I'm interested in getting. I think that'll work with my play style. And then it basically got to the point I was like, it is so it makes my chest feel tight thinking about it. It is so overwhelming, the amount of shit on eBay. Now, I understand that part of it is just putting in the work and getting familiar with it. Mm-hmm. So my previous save searches have always only been bowling balls from that brand. The brand that has the hammer as the logo. It might just be hammer, but I think the branding's cool, and I wanted that type of bowling ball.
I'm gonna get you like a crystal bowling ball with like a rose on the inside of it.
Please,
you know what I mean?
Timothy,
Okay.
I'll bowl with it.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I have no problem with. I think eBay is really sick.
eBay's the greatest website we have.
I haven't gone into it.
It is the only website that's survived as long as it has and is still good.
Yeah.
It's not tainted.
No, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I think it's tight. And if I were to be searching on eBay right now, I could, like, if you're just saying, like, what would you look for if I had the afternoon to browse eBay? First thing I would probably look for is like vintage catch-alls, ashtrays, and incense holders. Shit like that. You know what I mean?
What you need to do is like take that idea and let's say, oh, I want like a vintage like ashtray, let's say. And then you got to go. What I would do before you even hit eBay is I would go to Google search and be like, I want an ashtray from the 1970s and I'd kind of like it to be in like a brown colorway. And then you go through and you just try to find a picture of one that you like. And if you can find like an old brand or something, now you're really cooking with gas.
Yeah.
But the more specific you can be on eBay, that's the key. Yeah. Once you've got your specifics down, then you're solid. Then you're just perusing something that's been catered to you entirely. So it's like that's the mistake I think people made. You can't go in there and go old ashtray. It's like that's so vague. There's
there's
so
going
much
to be literally 12 million
there.
options for an old ashtray.
It's too much.
Yeah.
So you have to really narrow it down as much as you can. Then after you've narrowed it down, let's say you've been like, I want a 1970s Kingston ashtray in amber color and I want it to be this size. So that's not specific enough still. So you put that in, then you start filtering by price, by everything. Yeah. And then it's literally like a website that's like shopping for things that are completely catered to you and your strange interests.
No,
so
I mean, I get it. I mean, you are eBay guy and you have been forever.
I love eBay.
Outside of clothes, and if you want to talk about your safe search for clothing, that's fine. But I've seen some of these influencers being eBay influencers. That's enough. I've never wanted to do any sort of like that type of work in my life. I want to work for you, eBay. I know your product better than you know it. I've been using it since I remember. Well, I mean, you legitimately have sold hundreds of things on eBay.
Let's not get into specifics, IRS, but I've bought and sold for a long time, either flipping or doing stuff for people I know or customers at times and like switching things out. I've done this. I worked for a business where I was basically helping them liquidate old inventory and stuff. Yeah. I've done all sorts of. I've sold hundreds of thousands of dollars of stuff on eBay, no question.
Great.
Throughout the years.
Allegedly.
Yes. No proof.
Yeah.
We'll get in my PayPal. They switched that. They switched that. I don't think they can do it anymore because they it's not connected to PayPal, which is a mistake. Yeah. PayPal being maybe the second best. That's my favorite banking.
PayPal is pretty tight. I'm not gonna lie.
I think that if I was completely on my own, I wouldn't even have a bank account. I would have
just PayPal.
I would have like investments, and that's where all that money goes, and then all the money everything's going straight into PayPal. I just think it's cool.
I mean, I've started using PayPal more in the last couple of years, and I do it like you. It's kind of like my fun money. Yeah. I sell a couple things. The sum sits in there until I'm ready to buy something, and then it's free because it's not in my bank account money. You know what I mean? So it's not real.
Saved searches. I think I have like a handful of things I'm always looking for, which are like basically old Levi's 505s from pretty specific decade with very specific measurements. Yeah. So I have all of that like locked in. Like when things get listed that are my perfect size, I know about it and I.
You just know the measurements. You got them in the notes.
Got them in the notes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's basically as long as it like qualifies as like this waist, this inseam, and is listed as this year or whatever, it'll come up to me, and then all I have to do is just open them up and see until I hit a measurement where I'm like, perfect. And then I don't get anything tailored. All vintage looks perfect. You know what I mean? Like that's my thing. I know that it fits me.
You know, the hem's got the roping and is all fucked up and shit too, typically.
You also have to be okay with eBay of like rolling the dice to where it's like, sometimes you order and you're like, oh fuck, I spent $50 and it's like, this is not fitting right. So I just move it along. Half the time I just take it to any old vintage shop around here, sell it to them, and then they buy it it for at least half of what I paid or more, or sometimes I've made money, you know what I mean? And so you just have to be like, okay with like rolling the dice, but that's sort of part of it where I'm like, well, that thing's coming. I have no idea if this is going to work. And then it's either perfect or it sucks. But
yeah. Because if it works out, what a treat.
I look for vintage sweaters a lot. I especially like sweaters from like, you know, like early J. Crew stuff because I like the weird boxy
couple of
fits
those are great.
of them.
Yeah, dude. You have some good ones.
I do that one. That's always in there. Like it's kind of like specific label J. Crew stuff.
Yeah.
And old Ralph Lauren stuff. I like particular eras of like Polo or Blue Label or Green Label and stuff like that. I'd say those are like my main ones. I do look for like stuff I like La Mer, but La Mer's a nightmare. La Mer is the worst on eBay because of goddamn Uniqlo, because they just call it La Mer and that's a different thing. I'm not saying you can't be on there looking for that shit too, but that's gotten flooded and it's so hard to find like legit, just regular mainline La Mer stuff that it's such a pain in the ass. Grailed's actually even worse for that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to give them play. Out loud. I said in one of the Discords, I said, guys, I would set my nice clothes outside the worst Circle K in Indiana before I listed on fucking Grailed for these children.
It's become a I don't know. They should need like age restrictions or like no more make an offer things, or like you got to kick people. I hate this whole like we make a bunch of crazy offers. It's like, all right, man, like, well, you're the ones ruining it then. You know what I mean? You guys spoiled this. We had this cool, like, you know, for example, there's Reverb, which is great because buying stuff off of eBay for musical stuff it was in the same thing. It got flooded and it was really difficult. You couldn't figure out what you're dealing with and the rules weren't very good and it was a nightmare. They cleaned up and went, look, here's this pretty version that's very well maintained. It's like, there's very tight restrictions.
Reverb is a subsect of eBay?
No, it's their own thing. It's technically a subsect of Chicago music.
Sure, okay.
So it's its own thing, and that is it's great. It's like a curated version. No one's buying eBay music stuff off eBay anymore. You know what I mean? It's all off Reverb. It's just nicer. It's a better experience. You're definitely you're safe buying from there. Yeah, that's what I thought Grailed was and should have been, and then there's
like a moderation aspect to it where they're approving the listings and confirming legitimacy and shit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can't just like go on there and like mess around.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where I was going with this when I save searches. I mean, those are like my main ones.
Yeah.
But I think half of it's just me seeing something on TV or in a movie or somebody wearing something that I'm like, oh, I want that thing. And so a lot of times for me, it's like, I don't know if I'm like, let's say brown linen pants. Let's just say I wanted a pair of brown linen pants because I saw someone wearing them. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to go straight to a brand and pay $1,000. Like maybe I do eventually, but I don't know if this works for me or not. So you go on there and you buy like a used pair and be like, is this my flavor or not? So I like it for experimenting quite a bit.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You can come up with an idea that doesn't have to just be like, does it exist or not? It's like, it will exist if you have a tight enough search and you can find it and try things out. It's the best.
Interesting.
Yeah. I spend hours on that. If I had to get rid of all apps on my phone,
I just have eBay.
Maybe I can keep like phone call, eBay, YouTube. I don't know. That might be good.
Hey, saying it out loud because we're going to have some work to do today and I'll have some headphones in. I need that YouTube video or podcast, whatever you were listening to.
Oh, for the,
what was
it? Groupthink thing.
Oh, the groupthink thing where a town starts speaking in a dead language. I need to know about that. Cole, what are your saved eBay searches? Because I can't imagine everything about you and you are an eBay guy.
I got some good ones. All of my ski gear and kind of like good waterproof layers, everything I bought is like used, and it's like you can get like an alpha or a beta jacket, you know, like an Arc'teryx shell. Instead of like $900, you can find one for like $200.
It's not like you can clean those things up so easily.
Well, listen,
maybe even better if they're worn a little bit.
No, 100%.
Yeah, and like I know there's a couple of my friends who I don't need to shout them out, but like they got the money. And maybe they're in whatever they're into, they're just going to get the new thing each year. You know, it's how I've come up on some of my equipment for various things that I'm interested in. It's like those people are going to buy the new thing, so I buy it from them discounted the next year. And that I'm sure that ski equipment is that's all of it, dude. I'm sure like around now, to be honest with you, you probably can cop a lot of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, it's like the hot season.
Okay, well that makes sense. So some ski gear and outdoor shit.
Yeah, and like I've gotten like backpacking gear and shit like that. Other big thing, I won't give out too many ones I'm uncomfortable giving out, but one of them is I really love this barber jacket. or barbour, as you would call it.
Barbour, sorry.
Barbour.
It's tight.
The Finnish pronunciation.
Yeah. It's the spade jacket. It looks actually really similar to the Frism ones that we have. It's like a little more cropped.
Yeah.
Oh,
They made it from, I think it was like a 6 or 7 year time period. So I do exactly what Timbo does. You got to know what it is, what the year is, what the color you want. And
I've been trying to get that long brown Alexa Chung one for a long time
that
now.
one is also, one I didn't want to mention. That is such a sick ass jacket. So
I can't find my size, but
yeah. And I think like barber jackets and like old Burberry stuff, like that is really, because if you know what you want, you can
like
get
designer is like a key there. I mean, that's where I got all my old YSL that I've had throughout the years.
That belt you wear and shit?
Yeah, that's where you get like all the great Dior. Another thing, if you have kids and you want to like buy vintage designer, Dior had a line for a long time, Baby Dior.
Yeah.
My daughter had a ton of that stuff. Really good for like vintage kids clothes. I did a lot of that for Gia, especially early on. It's hard now because she grows so fast, but yeah, I mean like old designer is huge. Like you want old Gucci shoes. That's where I've gotten I've never bought a new pair of Gucci bit loafers, but every time the one wears out, I just find another one on eBay.
Yeah, for
pay
like
$200 for them and I'm good to go. I got those. I clean them up. I got them for another 5 years. So, yeah.
No, they do it good.
You just got to know what you're looking for. That's the whole thing. I think people go on there and it's not like a browse thing. You can't go to like shirts and look through, you know what I mean? It's not
It's all
going to
be like Wish.com.
I think
shit.
even just being like, if we go on there and be like, La Mer shirt, that's not enough. You got to be way more specific.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you got to be like summer, spring, or spring, summer, 18.
Yep.
This colorway. It's which I think for us that's what we like.
If you're
It's
super
like,
into
you
that
like
shit,
it,
yeah. I think that's the way. All right, give us a wrap up, Cheddar. Give us what's new in the shop. We've certainly got new things since the last time we talked.
Oh dear, yeah. I have some Frism works that I need to import. That's going to be the summer collection. I'm trying to think. We maybe have not potted since there's a big restock of CGG perfume. That email's already gone out last week. Got
New
a lot of love
Capital.
for that. New Capital.
Work in progress.
Work in progress is now live.
What else are we missing?
We have some
Hender
Beams
Scheme,
Hender Scheme. Beams Japan is in transit to us. Some was held up in custom. Some has delivered.
Like a metric ton of that.
Beams Plus, I believe, should also have some tracking here shortly. Lady White. We have, what is that, Timbo? A bunch of 2-packs?
Oh, yeah.
Restocks,
I know
and
everyone's
shit?
been waiting on those teas. They are on their way. I think they land today or something like that.
We'll see.
This week.
It was tracking was a little iffy, yeah.
But we'll be restocking all of those for the first time in a while. That'll be good. I know we've got more than this. But
We just don't have our computers to...
mono stereo. Holy shit.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. Wow, let's talk about that for a second. That was something that... Timbo, how did we come across the line? You want to say?
I don't remember.
Somebody showed it to us. A rep that reps another brand.
Yeah. Somebody we knew it said, "Oh, you might want to check out this." And I really liked it. Honestly, I liked it for a basics line when I first looked at it. I was like, "There's really good basics."
These teas are really dope. And
we'll get a couple other things, and then like literally, it came in, went out the door, restocked. Already back out the door. We've got another fat ass restock coming in.
Yeah.
With some more stuff in it. We'll probably adjust the fall buy to accommodate. Like people are loving it. The price point is excellent. It's made in US. It's really smart designs. Like it's just simple stuff, but kind of on that sort of like, hippie earth shit that's like kind of that's popular, but it's not doing so much where it's like it's not making a strong decision in it, which is a little annoying sometimes. It's not like a costume. These are just like great everyday like clothes that have that more like natural handmade like element.
Yeah.
All the buttons are unique. All the dyeing's very unique. I love the raw hem tees. Those I don't even know if we have any left at this point, but those are the on the farm tees.
Yeah, there was just a few on the farm raw hem tees. People
kind of like
are loving
perfect
those.
like summer kits too. Like you can put together like a gang of pieces from that and be good all summer.
Yeah.
So it's a really good collection. I'm super stoked with how it's selling.
Yeah, I'm really loving it. It's our online customers. Pardon me. Our online customers are really responding well to it, but I think it's also very much like a Boulder. The Boulder crowd is responding really positively to it as well.
I feel like there's definitely been some other restocks and some random things. I know we've had a few sneaker drops and stuff like that.
Yeah, pop over to new arrivals. Also, at time of this coming out will be Thursday. You have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to sign up for our Patreon. Next week will be Memorial Day sale. So
yeah, so if you want early access to that, you want to get your size before everyone else, it's I don't care what you do, man. It's $10 a month, dude. Like,
we've waited out. We don't need to discuss the value of it. The value's there. If you want your shit and you want to get it first, and you're worried, maybe you have your eye on something that's on the site. You know that it's no secret. Memorial Day is every year, as is Black Friday, Labor Day, etc. So we know that people plan for this. So if you want to get your shit, there's a large group of people already eagerly waiting. So now would be the time to sign up, get in there. And that will be happening next week in some regard. So just stay tuned.
And plus, you get in there, and even if you only have it for a month, you gotta. There's a ton of podcast episodes that are unreleased that are only on there. Video versions, unique stuff. We do weird stuff on those ones. There's all if you want drops, you're gonna get early access to all of those. You get, you get the best of everything. Yeah. So we make sure you're served first. So
yeah, so it's easy. Yeah. So other than that, it's getting nice out here. We're living a very fortunate life. We are lucky to be doing this and fucking around, talking in the morning to a GoPro in a big room. So that's about it. Yeah, we got a lot of product coming in. Memorial Day is right around the corner. Shoot me an email if you want to pop into the Discord. If you need anything from us, don't be a stranger. I think that's it, pal. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.